Good afternoon, everybody. Welcome to the channel. I got Lucas here to have a little
Cool.
chat, a little powwow together. How are you?
I am well, sir.
Good.
Thank you.
Awesome. So I guess I'll just do a quick little thing and then maybe have you do a little introduction on yourself. You and I had the pleasure of meeting, I guess, in Ohio, I guess 8 months ago now, I guess.
It's so
Time
crazy how
flies.
fast time flies. I was literally just thinking about that this morning because I was talking to someone who was there, and they're like, "Yeah, it was like a year ago," and I was like, "It feels like it was 10 years ago or a month ago." Like, my idea of time is not the
It gets
best,
all combubbled. And there's Funny
right?
Tour, who actually was also down there with us, which is cool.
Oh, nice.
So I also met him in person there, which was neat.
Cool.
Um, so really had a great chat. Really got it was an opportunity to kind of get to know you a little bit better, which was kind of cool because I kind of knew you and Colin a tiny little bit beforehand, but not really. And so I really appreciated you and Colin and your guys' purpose and raison d'etre, I guess, if you will, and desires of what you want to do in the space. I have no desire to have my own paid community and that kind of stuff. But I do love helping people. I have the same kind of mission and ideals and backgrounds, maybe done a different way. But I do lately, especially with new people coming into DeFi and the space evolving right now, want to highlight people that I appreciate and I value and show others who can maybe benefit from those pieces of knowledge from those groups. And I think paid groups are very valuable. And that won't be our whole conversation today, but I just want to lead with that in learning, growing, stopping from making the mistakes and possibly making less of them, or hopefully, if you're newish, not necessarily not making any of them, but being guided to make them less impactful in a negative way. So this kind of stuff. So I really wanted to give a chance to bring you on the channel. First off, like I said, if you could introduce yourself, and then we can kind of go through kind of a broader everything. Obviously, anybody in the audience, please put some questions, comments, whatever. I'm really happy for this to happen organically, kind of thing, and have a great chat.
Cool.
So yeah. So
Yeah,
how
my
about
intention
you?
is, I think I see the comments here in StreamYard, right? Any comments would be from YouTube that pop up on here, right?
Yeah, and
Yeah.
and I'll pop them like
Cool.
this kind of thing
So
as
if
we
there's
go.
anything that I can help with, we obviously I think there's so many ways to leverage or use crypto DeFi. We're really, and my story would definitely make sense as to why I'm the way I am. I don't want anyone in control of me. I want to be in control. Now, when I say that, we have literally 1% of control over anything in our worlds. Like, almost everything is out of our control, but the little control we do have, I want control of that. I don't want banks. I don't want some centralized projects. I don't want some dApps. I don't want to hope that I get paid out tomorrow. I want to have control. And that's really kind of what Crypto Labs and what we're all about. To answer the question of introducing myself, obviously my name's Lucas. We run Crypto Labs Research. I always laugh at that question because I've been deep down the rabbit hole probably for the last 8 years of trying to figure out, who am I? Like, who is this human being that walks around this planet? And so every time if I'm introduced on stage or a show, I'm kind of like, I can tell you my name and I can tell you what I do, but it's so far from, I think, who we are as humans. So I'll leave it at that. I really like people taking back control and just becoming more conscious and aware. And I think there's an infinite gain to that. So crypto and DeFi is just one small way of how I get to, I guess, express that, so to speak. I like this space a lot because I think it grants a lot of freedom and a lot of kind of rebellious energy and thinking outside the box. And so that's probably why I fell into it more than anything else. Yeah.
Awesome. And yeah, I do find you very eloquent in your words. I'm not so much so. Again, I share a lot of the ideals. When I'm listening to you, I'm like, that's exactly what I'm thinking. So I appreciate how you present things, I guess. And if you guys don't know, obviously you do have a YouTube channel. I will grab that and actually put that in there for people that maybe don't already know you, who are maybe coming on or seeing this or whatever. And a lot of your stuff has changed. You guys have evolved also with the plays. Definitely DGen has become a little bit of a something you guys don't really do too much of in your group, which I appreciate. Again, I still dabble. I still do some content on it,
I'll dabble
trying to
too,
warn of
for
the
sure.
risk. And you guys too, within reason. But I guess for your guys, the direction of your channel, what your group is doing, I guess take people through what to expect. I guess if you were to go into the Underdog Investor Group, and what value you guys provide to people that kind of join up with you guys.
Sure. And I think even beyond that, even if no one ever joins, which is totally cool, I
Mhm.
think ask the question. It's a risk reward thing to me. So back in the day, let's say a year ago, when kind of degen apps were pretty much the norm, we calculated once the average ROI DAP, and I'm calling it that. That's a very wide definition of it, but that's just what people I think understand they are. They Some of them on average were like 62 days. We're talking about the stable funds. We're talking about the what was the other one?
Wealth Mountain,
Yeah, and then that gem,
Prosperity Gem Ventures,
Prosperity Gem Ventures,
and then
all
whatever
those,
other
like,
name it took on.
they many of them lasted quite a while, and so
Mhm.
all things considered, if you came in and out of one for 30 days, you were typically ahead. So if you went into every play that came out for 30 days or less, you were ahead. So that was a strategy that I was like, this obviously works. Then at some point, people took advantage of it, and it was like a project would pop up for one day, get $500,000, then disappear the next day, and that started bringing the averages down. And when it dropped under 30 days, I'm like, this is no longer sustainable.
Yep.
What else is? And yield farming was something that, and liquidity pools was something I was aware of and I played with, but I never took super seriously. Found a bunch of people who were actually taking it seriously, learned from them, started exploring it, built an awesome team. David is now on the team, who's a TA guy, and he's really savvy in all the
Yes.
technical side of it. And now when we look at the results, we don't get rugged ever. You could maybe make a bad pick on a pool you want to enter and lose a little, lose to impermanent loss, maybe a
Yeah.
little bit, fine. But you're never going to start at zero as long as you stick to the big dexes and you've got good security. If you start venturing into newer dexes or newer projects, obviously a little risky,
Yeah.
but some stuff on Uniswap, I mean, if we can do 10% a month on average over the entire year, you're doing really, really, really well.
Yeah.
There's a little barrier of entry into it because you've got to learn what crypto and DeFi actually is versus some kind of DApp. You put $1,000 and you get 1% per day. You have to know nothing except how to get 100 or 1,000 USDT on your MetaMask and
Yeah.
send it over. Like, that's pretty much the extent of your knowledge, and now you have no control. So we don't do any of that. We don't play with it. If somehow something changed in the future and there was more honest projects and somehow the bad players were able to be identified a
Yeah.
lot better, then I'd probably get back into it. But right now, it just makes no sense because even doxed and something happens to the project, and I'm just like, I just saw way too many people losing too much money, and I just said, we're not doing it anymore. We're never sharing a referral link. We're not doing any of that. Not saying that's bad. I just
Mhm.
thought by monetizing a group, we don't care what anyone thinks of us in this space anymore. Like, I don't care if projects come to me or not. We just find really awesome stuff. We don't have to get paid to share the project, and that's a fine business to run. I'm just
Of
saying it's
course.
something I didn't feel aligned with, and that's kind of, we double down on what we do at Crypto Labs, and our vision is massive. We've been chatting about potentially as we keep growing. Um, well, maybe I'll keep that under wraps, but even venturing into DeFi and auditing and just all these cool little things we could build out. So yeah,
Yeah, and I think and we're seeing a little bit of it, and so I think timing is probably good if you're venturing into that. Obviously, I'd kind of work quickly because I know of others that seem to be starting on taking on some of those tasks that are a little bit more public entities, as opposed to just
yeah,
some. The only name that comes to mind, and I'm not trying to disparage the guy, but George Stamps is. I'm like, that was one that where he
right,
actually ended up doing a project, and then I don't
yeah.
know if he knew who he was working with well enough, and then so it just becomes a pretty. You can't do it all.
Yeah, it's hard, and that's why I just think we didn't. I'm not taking credit for this. We just started calling stuff True DeFi, and I think people misunderstood it of like, is True DeFi a project or something? I don't know. It's just something we came up with. Maybe someone else has said it before. I don't know, but it was just like, when we say True DeFi, we mean actual DeFi. That's it.
Yeah.
Everything else is not DeFi, but we just, yeah.
No,
So we
it's the
stick to
funny
True
thing in
DeFi.
this space because words get used so poorly so often. And so I
Totally.
agree, like where people don't separate degen and DeFi, they
Right,
don't
and I'm
separate
guilty of it
rug.
too, right? I'm just like,
Well,
"Oh, yeah,
exactly.
that's ROI DApp
Absolutely.
stuff, because it
Yeah.
just makes it easier to throw it all in one pile when it's not a ROI DApp, maybe they are doing something, but
Yeah.
we just call it that. I get it. makes it
No,
easier.
but I think it's good to create almost, and it gets weird because you can start labeling things too much, but yeah, you end up, like I said, you end up calling things a rug even though there's another
Right.
reason for it. Like,
Totally.
it just gets a little bit, but I do enjoy, like, again, looking at it true DeFi, it kind of gives it that extra kind of label and an understanding of what it actually means, which is
100%.
good. And Monstros, look at welcome Gabo. Thanks for
What up?
coming by. Monstros is a true DeFi one. They're doing quite well.
Love it.
Obviously, a good team, so I appreciate you guys. I don't know if you've looked into that at all, but they basically are doing liquidity management pools for you
That's right.
as opposed to you doing them. So,
That's right.
which is good because there is a little barrier of entry. I don't think it's great. It's not a massive one if you stay, like you said, with the stable tokens and the tokens that are real as opposed to degen ones. Because again, there's always a spectrum no matter what you look
Absolutely.
at in the
And
space.
there's more and more tools so you can actually track your position, track impermanent loss, track your entries, exits. There's more and more tools available. I think it's just, and I say this respectively, but most people in the world are pretty lazy. And so we're always going to take the path of least resistance, of course. And so that's why when presented with, hey, I can make a percent per day over here and I don't have to do anything, but the risk is I could lose all my money. Most people are still going to go into that. That's
Yeah,
fine. That's not the people we're looking for. We're looking for the people who are like, hey, I don't mind devoting a month or two to learning a skill set that's going to serve me not just in DeFi, but I think give me like I remember I worked on the oil rigs and I was freaking broke, making 100 grand a year. After high school, I went on the oil rigs and I was broke. And I remember being 24 and being like, I just got a mortgage at 24.
mhm,
I was doing all this stuff and I'm like, I'm broke. And I remember just being like, I need to learn about how money actually works. Like there's something, it's not about what I'm doing. There's some foundational stuff. And so I think learning that and then learning the deep foundations of DeFi and crypto and where this space is going, you stop caring about what the market is doing. You stop caring about the talking heads on Twitter saying Bitcoin's 100 grand or 20 grand. I could care so little about that.
yep,
I think I have a very long term vision of what crypto and DeFi will be,
mhm,
and we're all really really early. So that's kind of I guess my philosophy is like 5 years out is not that far away,
yeah,
and you're going to be somewhere in 5 years. And so the decisions you make right now are going to literally dictate where you're going to be in 5 years. And if you don't like where you're at, it's because of decisions you made 5 years ago. And I remember just sitting there at 24, 25, being like, every decision I made has just been wrong because it's been what
mhm.
everyone taught me in school and all that. Let me start making different decisions because I'm going to be 50 years old. Um,
Congrats.
I'm going to be 50.
Yeah.
So what decisions am I going to make? So when I'm 50, I can look around and just be proud of who I've become and what I built, etc. So
Yeah, no, that's great, and that's where I've seen the evolution. I'm in the underdog investor group, and I see even the people and the care and the substance that goes into it all is appreciated, and
cool.
people realize it. So that's kind of the stuff that I want to see as well, because I find so many people are just quick to just act or click a button and not put thought and process into
Right.
why, how, what's the end result, what's the goal. It's just now, and they're living
Right.
too much in the now and not realizing the ripple effects of the decisions that they make. So
100%.
yeah.
And that's
uh,
just human. We have to fight against our human nature
True.
all of the time. Not fight. We just I think when you become aware and you take a pause between, the reactions, so to speak. You just take even a 10-second pause and be like, hold up, let me just zoom out for a second. You could start making some really good financial decisions. And I think DeFi, people are always like, I'm not in love with crypto and DeFi. I mean, I love it, but I'm not
Married to it, or
I guess married to it. Yeah, that's a good way to put it. Is like I'm not married to any single project or any single strategy, I guess, because those will always change. And so if Bitcoin disappeared tomorrow, which it wouldn't, but if it did, I'd be like if someone came out and said I invented Bitcoin and then it was actually true and it was some controversial figure like Trump or something, and now everyone hated it or loved it. I don't know. Who cares about politics? It's all
yeah,
just one big scam anyway. But and Bitcoin went to $1. I'm just like I'm not married. I love Bitcoin. I hold a lot of it, but
yeah,
at any moment I could change my position on anything. And I think DeFi as of right now presents some really cool yields and really cool opportunities. I'm talking 80% a year is a really big opportunity. I think people don't
it's
get that. So
yeah,
I love the DeFi space for that. And as I think we get more liquidity and the space maybe gets a little more regulated and it gets a little more um, saturated and the yields drop, then I mean, I think the yields will still be high because you are the bank, and so you get all the fees, which is why the yields are high. But
Yeah.
in the future, whatever new comes out, I want to be there for it because I like to be early on stuff.
No, and exactly, and that's where we can make our coin, right? So,
Yep.
and the nice thing again, and some of the points that you brought out there is that you don't have to be, and even if you go into those crazy apps, doing it with your whole bag is what I think a lot of people do wrong. And it's not having a plan for everything. It's just okay, this is the shiny thing that I'm jumping into now, and then from one to the other to
Right.
the other. And half the time you think you're up, but
Yep.
because you lost or didn't do as well and didn't track it as well, you're not taught oftentimes not as much as you think you are. So you guys take a very holistic approach, and it's about separating and almost creating, as much as the banks get it wrong, having worked for the bank for 15 plus years, um,
Yeah. That's so
actually
interesting. That's
allocating
cool.
your funds. Yeah, actually allocating your funds and having that methodical look that they teach you or try to teach people is still a value. There's still values in some of those things,
Yeah. Yeah.
but it's applying it here in a positive way. And you
Right.
guys, I find, do that quite a bit, which is great. It's allocating in the right spots. If you are just doing liquidity pools, yes, you can have some fun with some, but you're only doing it with 5, 10, 1%, whatever is comfortable for you to play with.
100%.
Yeah.
100%. So
Yeah.
good.
Welcome,
I'm not selling.
Grant.
I'm not selling my Bitcoin anytime soon. Promise
Yeah,
you
yeah.
that. But
There we
if I
go.
do, I don't have enough Bitcoin to move the market. Just so we're clear here. But I'll let y'all know.
There you go. So yeah, and that's the thing with all this stuff, right? Is and I'm even dabbling in trading right now, which you guys have started a part of your group in doing now, which I thought was great. And it's
David
neat
is a
how
G. Like he's so freaking good. I have the pleasure of hanging out with him often, so I'll ask him questions. But the amount of knowledge he has when it comes to it's not just charts, because I think charts. I took a trading course maybe 4 years ago, and I took a couple because when I learn something, I'm all in.
yeah,
And I saw the best of the best read a chart in two completely opposite ways. One was bullish, one was bearish, and I started learning that the reason these guys win so often is because they always take asymmetrical bets. There's always more upside than downside, and they're quick to cut their losses. They don't gamble. So they get into a position, and if it doesn't go their way, they're quick to cut it at 20%. And if they're winning, they're quick to take the profits at 50, 60%. And the series of bets they make, they know they're going to win 7 times out of 10. And so they lose 3, they win 7. And no matter what way they read the charts. So it was less about the charts, it was more about the strategy deployed.
strategy.
And the best traders are so unemotional about what they're doing. They're in and out. They're in and out. When they lose quick. And when they win, they take the profits and they don't try and ride it to the moon. So, and if they lose, they don't try to blow the candle back up. They just say, I'm out. I'm done. This was my stop loss. So, um, yeah, it's a really interesting game that I think in crypto you can win because there's so many amateurs playing that game. And
Absolutely.
and we're all amateurs at some point,
Yeah.
but they just are very emotional. And if you're not, you can, yeah, you can do really
Sure.
well. I know
Yeah,
guys
exactly.
who, yeah,
And that's the biggest point. And I've had a couple of discussions with traders and stuff because I've had them on as well. Because I think there's so much value to learning that skill set, because it is something you can learn and use anywhere. Sort of, is the psychology is so much more than most um,
yeah,
retail people realize,
yeah,
and they'll chase that oh crap, they'll revenge trade, which is like the
yeah.
worst thing to do in the world.
I've done that too, though. On leverage, like
Oh, of
50x
course, we all
leverage,
have.
try to get it back.
Yeah, I can't say I haven't. So,
Right.
and sorry, just while I think about it, is the link for people that maybe want to go. Obviously, I put your YouTube link there, but if people do want to maybe seek a little more information, because you guys do have, I think, a trial with crypto with the Underdog Investor.
We don't. We did for a long time, but it was so messy. Everyone who did the trial never took it seriously. So we don't.
Oh, then
Um,
I appreciate that. Actually, that's a
yeah,
good
it
idea.
was just like, dude, you guys are. This is this. It was pissing us off. So yeah, we're growing at 10 to 14% a month right now, and
Nice.
we're just trying to. It'll probably be past Christmas or maybe in February at 1,000 members. We're just going to close the doors, and it'll just be a a closed group from then on out. And every time we dip under 1,000 members, we'd open the doors up, get a few in,
That's
and then
brilliant. I
close
like
it. So yeah, we were growing really quick, which just tells me that people and we have a very low churn right now, which just tells me people are getting their value from it. So that excites me.
awesome. Yeah, and I was
So
going
we
to
don't,
share.
yeah. You have
I
no
was gonna
trial link.
share it to show people around, but I also I'm like, there might be names and stuff, so I'm kind of avoiding that just because I know some people
Right.
use their actual real name in there,
Right.
so out of respect, I didn't do that, but, you guys use a different program, it's not like Discord or Telegram,
Yep.
and it's really well organized. You guys actually have, like, sections on how to onboard and offboard, which I felt was kinda cool, giving people the basics that they can either run through if they've been here for a while or take some time. I actually took some time with it even though I had been in the space for a while, and I found it added some value just as a reminder, as a
Cool.
almost as a, just a little bit of a.
Have you taken David's TA course yet?
I have not yet. I want
Cool.
to. It's
It's
definitely on my
juicy.
list,
It's
but I
juicy,
haven't done
dude.
that yet because I do want to. Knowledge is power, right? And that's what I've found in this space is I've just spent so much time trying to learn everything I can,
Yep, me too.
and every so often it just adds value in a conversation,
So the
like one of
people who
these.
win, dude, like, I'm just
Yeah,
like I never went to university, so I have all these books behind me, and I probably overcompensate by trying to look smarter than I actually am with them, but,
we all do.
um, I don't start a morning or I don't go to bed without learning something, and whether that's an online course, whether that's a book or whatever. I'm the dude who's got 1,800 courses on my hard drive that, I've just dabbled in, like, I if I see it, I buy it, and I'll do it in the future.
Yeah, yeah.
I love
Keep it
learning.
coming.
I think it's learning is yeah, I think, yeah, those are people who win.
No, I agree 100%, and I do enjoy, like I said, all this different stuff, and the nice thing about DeFi and all of this space is there's so much different things you can learn,
It's crazy.
and all of it intertwines in some way. It's really crazy actually how
Your
much there is.
background in finance, that must be a really fascinating. I read a bunch of finance books because I was trying to learn how
Mhm.
banks actually operate, but you with that insider, you were in the belly of the beast, so to speak. That's gotta be a really cool perspective for your viewers when you share that stuff. I'd like to actually hear more about that. I think that'd be really,
I
really interesting.
probably don't share enough of it, to be honest with you, actually, but no, it's a good point, and it's not on purpose, it's just I kinda I use it, but it's almost like anything that we do, right? If it's something we do as a regular
Yeah,
basis
yeah,
for
yeah.
years, it just becomes kind of second nature, and I'm
Totally.
sure I've shown some information that is related to that, but never identified it as
Well,
that.
that's such a unique, just even as a brand or as a as Pocket Aces himself. I'm just like, that's such a unique perspective that most people don't have. I feel like that would just separate you from all the other talking
Bad
heads who
idea.
talk DeFi.
I am not a good marketer, so even though
True.
I'm in this space as one, I don't think of these
Yeah, yeah,
things.
I get it.
It's
I
not
get it.
my thing, but I appreciate that.
Authenticity, dude. I was watching this. I was listening to this guy. I'm really into the levels of consciousness. David R. Hawkins. He's got some really great books on it. They basically test. Um, that's a long thing to talk about, but basically just different frequencies and different emotions and different states that a human being can be in emit, and it goes from 0 to 1,000. 1,000 being basically enlightenment, 0 being shame, which is the lowest vibration a
Yeah.
human can operate in, shame and guilt.
Mhm.
And there's this test on authenticity, which is it vibrates very close to enlightenment. And so when someone shows up fully authentically and shares the truth and shares their story, whether people like it or not, and doesn't try to be someone, that frequency that that human is operating on is at the same levels of love and joy and very close to enlightenment, which is like Buddha Christ energy. And I
Mhm.
thought that's so fascinating because some of the best marketers don't use, yes, there's techniques you use, but it's just like they're unapologetically, authentically themselves, and people are very drawn to it or they're repelled by it, but it's vibrating at such a high frequency that if someone is in shame, guilt, or is in jealousy, they'll hate that person instantly. It gets that hard reaction. Or if someone's a little more excited, they're drawn to that person because they want to learn something from that person. So I'm like, dude, if that's your story,
Yeah,
that's your
yeah.
story. And it
Nice.
vibrates at a high frequency.
Nice. And I do it, and that's the other thing actually, and again, not to over compliment, but I do appreciate about you, Lucas, as a person, is you are very spiritual without being preachy, I guess, if you will. I don't know if that's the right combination of words there, but I appreciate how you are. You also just kind of, and the same kind of thing as myself is you kind of just look at things very holistically, I guess, is what I'm getting at there. Sorry, Gabo just asked it. There's no link for Underdog Investor Group. If you do join and you heard about it from here, I would appreciate. I think when you're filling in the form, there's a where you heard about it from, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah, yeah, we had it built a few months ago and now we're rebuilding it. It's going to launch probably in the next week as a actual affiliate referral program, but the
Okay.
affiliate we ran an affiliate program a while ago, but the affiliates weren't vetted and it was becoming messy. So we shut that down and now they'll just be vetted. So we'll just have 10, 12, 20 partners who we're able to actually showcase on our website, bring on as on our YouTube channel, bring on as guests inside. So for now we don't, but probably in the next week or two we will.
Oh, there you go.
And then to
So,
people we trust, we can give them links if they want. We give them basically 20% of our business. So 20% of anything anyone brings in just keeps getting paid out month over month over month. I think it's a really fair, um, fair system. But yeah,
yeah, if they stay, and they keep getting
that's right.
rewarded. If they don't, they don't, kind of
That's
thing.
right.
No, that's great. So, and I guess with that, like I said, I didn't put a link. Is it the coach?
Yeah, cryptolabsresearch.com. And there's
Okay.
like a little link, little bar at the top. And it's the middle one. It's the Underdog Investor Group.
Oh, here it is, right
It's
here.
probably the easiest way to find it. Our URL is still a very old one. Way back in the day, we ran a little course. And so it's still like crypto course or something is the URL, but it's not a course. It's
Gotcha.
much beyond that. But yeah.
Yeah, and like I said, I can't say it enough. The community is really great. The people are there to help. You've got a very diverse group. Like there's not any
We
one
just had
type
an
of skill set.
82-year-old join. And
Okay.
I was not that age has anything to do
No,
with it.
no.
The dude has barely used cell phones in over 3-4 weeks just to see him like MetaMask join his first liquidity pool, like just is
That's
getting
awesome.
it. And
Yeah.
then we have a I think he's almost 40. He's got a 12 or 13 million dollar portfolio, which is ridiculous. I saw with my own eyes, so it's legit. And then
Yeah,
we
yeah.
have people
Wild.
just starting and people all over the place. So that's been kind of cool to see the diversity and more females.
Yeah,
And the
yeah.
females actually do better because they're not egotistically trying to chase yields. They're just slow and steady.
Very
I'm
systematic. Very
very
like
yeah.
I do this, I get that, and it's not it's the emotions are less, I guess,
It's
somehow
really
because
cool
of that.
to
Yeah.
see. Somehow, yeah. I mean, I'm obviously generalizing here,
Mhm.
but for the most part, it's a pattern I see.
Yeah, neat. And I guess people that are looking to get in there, any tidbits of information, any kind of do's and don'ts, or any nuggets of information to kind of give them about why and how and what with that.
Yeah, I think if you join, and I think this goes for anything, but if you join and you start jumping around on anything, you will probably leave. Like when we get someone leave within the first 30 days, they leave because they joined and they joined the groups and they tried to get into some project and they're kind of like, I'm overwhelmed. And then they leave. Legit. Someone who actually systematically goes through the onboarding, systematically goes through the training, takes their time with it, asks their questions, gets involved. Like if you ask a question, I think it's rare if your question doesn't get answered in 4 hours. It's either 2 a.m. that you asked your question or maybe on a Sunday, maybe. But the community is so quick to jump in, and we and the instructors are quick to jump in. So ask your questions. Don't hide in the shadows. Don't lone wolf it.
Yeah.
Um,
Well, and
you
that's
know,
the whole point of this is because a lot of us are in our own little bubbles in our house, right? Nobody in our family, nobody in our circle of influence, of physical people, anyways,
yeah,
is doing this kind of thing. So to have a network of people that you can trust, and again, asking these questions in a project oftentimes gets labeled as FUD or labeled as
100%.
fanboy or whatever.
Totally.
It's ridiculous. So
Yeah,
having something like this to lean on and a team of people that will not judge you for your question, that will not berate you for
that's
maybe
right.
sounding like a newbie or something,
That's
to
right.
me is so important to people in
Agreed.
this space. So
Agreed. And even experience. Like I'm in a ton of stuff all the time too because I'm always trying to learn. I'm sure probably like you,
mm,
and it is intimidating to ask a question. I think it gets harder the more you know, or maybe if you have some influence, maybe I would say that to ask a question because now you're terrified of sounding dumb. I've been in rooms where I come onto the mic and I ask a question and I'm just like nervous. I'm just like, are people going to judge me? We're always afraid of that as humans. We just have to get past that. Um, and so I think a lot of people are afraid to ask the question because they want to get it right and they'd rather I get it, like we're all human beings, we all go through that exact same thing. Some people have a harder time with it than others, but if you're part of anything, just like ask your questions. If you see someone winning, get to know them.
yeah,
um, and I think that's true for any
everything.
part of life. It's like a
Yeah,
student for life, curious, asking your questions, reading every book, like looking for the knowledge. We got such a short time on this planet, and I think it's just a fun way to see business or DeFi or investing or anything. It's just like I just want to grow before I
yeah,
die, and like how far can I grow this human knowledge? How close can I get to the truth before
yeah.
my time's up?
No, and that's a brilliant point too. And I find there's people in this space that do things like us that are on YouTube and whatever, and their whole platform seems to be this is wrong, this is negative, this is
Right.
that. Like it's, I walked into a Discord that had one of these people jump into it, and his first question is, "I don't trust this. I don't trust you. How are you going to prove to me you're like?" How do you
Right.
approach things that way without trying to learn or
Yeah.
understand or take time? So I do try and do that. And oddly enough, again, your other mention about the whole asking questions, I do catch myself DMing because I'm an influencer, whatever the hell name I've
I
been
know.
calling
Yeah.
myself. I do end up going in and DMing them to ask certain things, and I get to hide behind the fact, hey, I'm just asking this because I don't want to create FUD, or
Big
and
time.
I'm a YouTuber and I want to get to know some extra things so I can tell my community, blah blah blah. But it's
Yeah.
definitely avoiding asking the question in
Yeah.
public, not looking
I
stupid.
do it too sometimes. Yeah, thanks for acknowledging that. I love it. I think we all do it. We
Yep,
all want to be liked and part of the tribe.
exactly.
Unfortunately, when you're trying to build something, you at some point have to transcend that and be very okay with people
Yeah.
really disliking you, and that's a choice that some people have to make if they want to have some influence or build something in this world, and that's what holds most people back. That's what held me back.
Yeah, 100.
I just wanted to be vanilla. Like my first business was 10 years ago. Everyone liked me, but because of that, no one paid attention to anything. Eventually, at some point, you have to break free of that, and
Agreed.
you will get people hating you and death threats. You'll get it all. It's crazy.
Yep.
But, how you gonna play small or play big? I don't know.
Yep. No, and
It's
again,
not
in
right or
my
wrong. It's just
Discord,
yeah.
I don't hide behind it, but and yeah, for sure,
Totally,
we get
totally.
all the different crazy
Let's
comments.
go.
So we have a bunch of people here. I don't know if you guys have any questions for Lucas, or anything you wanted to dive into. Right now, your biggest thing, I guess, and what I see your videos obviously on are liquidity pools. Anything else about this space that's kind of exciting you or getting you a little ramped up now that we're heading towards? I mean, I wouldn't say bull yet, but definitely some
Slow and boring,
sign.
man. I think the biggest opportunity that people are passing up is the bull run. Is like how many people I talk to who've been in crypto for quite a while, and I'm like, well, what's your bull run bag look like, or what assets would you like to have in it? And they really don't know. They just haven't pulled the trigger on it because either it was 16 grand and they thought crypto was over, or it's 40 grand and they think it's overpriced. They're just always at these extremes.
Yeah.
Slow and steady is what assets do you want to hold for your bull run? Okay, I want some. Don't I'm just making up random assets here. I'm just sharing stuff, but like maybe I want some Cake, Trader Joe, Uniswap, native Dex tokens. I want a little bit of it. I want $500 each because I do think it could appreciate. Look at native Dex tokens and have a look at what it did on last bull runs. As there was more volume, these native Dex tokens appreciated. Okay, cool. Maybe I want to hold some of that. Then we can ask the question: do I want to just buy it all at once and hold it? Do I want a dollar cost average into it? Or do I want to maybe yield farm on these dexes and earn some cake or some Joe and then move that into my bull run bag?
Yep.
Okay, cool. Um, what price do we think these tokens are going to appreciate to? Okay, cool. How do we want to ladder out? When are we taking our profits? Okay, cool. Now we have a plan. And then you could ask the question: what coins or tokens do I want to hold for the bull run? And can I earn yield on them in the meantime, depending on what you think the market is doing, of course.
Mhm.
And you can set up a strategy on, am I going to get into correlate? I got into BNB and Cake a few days ago because I think they're fairly correlated. And I'm also really bullish on both of those. I know that's contrarian because BNB has some had some bad press recently,
Yeah.
but the BNB itself,
It's not going
I
anywhere.
think was a great buy 2 weeks ago or so. I don't even know what it's worth, but and then can I earn 80%, 100%? I think Cake BNB is doing around 120% right now, and I'm earning Cake and BNB and stacking that for the bull run.
Nice.
Radiant is another one. Arb is another one. And so I don't look at the yield farming like, let me get into the highest yield I can because you are going to sacrifice great potential coins and tokens. You're gonna just going to chase whatever's out there to try to earn the highest yield you can.
Yeah.
Fairly risky strategy. It's what do you want to hold for the bull run? Do you want to add a zero to your net worth? I think most people will say yes.
Yep.
And if you do want to add a zero to your net worth, then what's your portfolio going to look like? And then we find the yield farms and the opportunities, I guess I should say, that earn you that coin or token. And whether it's 80% or 300%, I really don't care. I want stability, deep liquidity, sexy TVL on a trusted DEX, and I want to get into that opportunity. I'm not going to set super tight ranges. I'm going to go a little wider, depending what the market is doing, and I'm sitting on quite a bit of stable coins. So the last 4 weeks, I've been just taking profit for the most part, moving into stable coin because I think we're going to see. We already did a few days ago, but I
Yeah.
think I like to buy back into some of these assets a little bit cheaper, uh, at a less expensive price, and yeah. So that's kind of what I'm looking at. So I think yield farming is just a means to an end to build your bull run bag
Yeah.
and ensure you have ensure you're ready to start selling because as we know, there's like the accumulation phase, there's the growth phase, and then
Yeah.
there's the bubble. And we're so far from a bubble. I don't even think we're in the growth phase yet. But when the bubble happens and you see Coinbase and all these big apps as number one, number two, number three on your app store, and everyone's talking about crypto, institutional money is coming in, ETFs are approved. That's what I'll be getting out shortly after that, of course.
Yeah.
And I want to just be getting in. And for the last 2 years, it's just been year and a half. It's just been buying. I remember buying Bitcoin at around 17,000 start of the year, and I was sick to my stomach because I'm like, my portfolio was way down. I was buying more Bitcoin at 17, and like my natural human part of me was like, "You're an idiot. No one else is buying right now." But I knew, let me just keep buying it when no one's buying it. You almost have to just go opposite of what you normally feel, and if you feel like you're getting too excited for crypto, maybe it's time to start thinking about taking some profits.
Yeah.
Not
Well,
buying it.
and I think that's talked about luckily quite a bit, but I don't know if it's adhered to as much as
I
it
don't think
should
it's
be.
a year too.
Yeah, get in when everybody
Takes
else is getting
courage,
out, get out
man.
when everybody else is getting in.
It takes courage.
Does.
Courage is kind of like halfway up that scale of consciousness, so to speak, and it's just like maybe a third up. But it's like most people don't attain, or yeah, like they'll let the fear. They feel courageous for a second. I guess this is a great example. Oh my god, I have a great idea. I'm gonna do this. No, we're booking this vacation. We always wanted to go to Rome. Let's do it. And then you sleep on it. Next day, you're like, well, I'd have to take time off work. All the practical stuff happens, and like you felt courage for a minute and it feels good. You feel inspired by life. You're just like, damn, let's do it. And then your brain starts clicking in. So
Yeah.
I think most people
Anybody
don't.
in this room doesn't know that feeling, then well, I don't even know. Like, there's no way you haven't had that feeling. I think
Right.
everybody must have had that
You had a
feeling.
great idea. Oh,
So
you had a great idea and you just don't execute on it, which is why a guy like Tony Robbins always say, don't leave the scene of, a kind of inspiration or making a decision without taking some kind of committed action right after. I have this great decision. Don't sleep on it. Like go buy the website, buy the domain, and like,
force
just
action.
take some action before it starts wearing out and then do that on a daily basis. So I think crypto and DeFi take a lot of courage. People get excited by it, then they jump on the computer to do something, and then they talk themselves out of actually getting into that pool or buying Bitcoin at 17 grand. They say they'll wait till it's 25, and then you know what I mean.
Yep. No, exactly.
We're
No.
all guilty of it. I'm not preaching. I'm not. I'm
No.
talking with yells.
No, exactly. No, and yeah, if you haven't had those feelings, then and you got to, and it's the understanding those feelings and then creating that kind of plan of action. Like I said, like you said, is the only way you're going to teach yourself not to do it is really understanding what the process is going on in your head, and then going, I'm going to do something different this time or next time or whatever it may be, because you have to kind of reprogram yourself.
It's just awareness, dude, isn't it? It's like I think all of life. I mean, we've all had these experiences, of course. Maybe where you're, I don't know. I think the one most people relate to is like a sun's coming up, beautiful sunset, and for a moment you feel that you go outside of your body, like you feel love, you feel
Yeah,
just complete
euphoric.
awe for the beauty of life, and you're in it for 2 minutes, maybe a tear of joy down your eye. You get back in the car, you hit 3 red lights, someone cuts you off, and you're right back into a very pointed consciousness of like you're just looking at yourself instead of feeling expanded.
Yeah.
So I kind of have a rule now too. I won't make decisions without getting into an expanded state. So if I have to make a decision and I'm in fear or I'm angry or the team did something or for whatever reason, I'm just not I'm just pointed consciousness. I'll go for a walk. Literally, I'm the weirdo who will sit and look at a tree for like 2 minutes and find all the beautiful little. If you've never done that, dude, go do it.
Oh,
Like
absolutely.
raindrops coming off every little needle of the pine, and it's just like I'll just get into an expanded state, move into courage, get excited for life, and make a decision based on because that's who I want to be.
Yep.
instead of always making decisions on fear, inflation, politics, taxes, just crap.
Yep.
I don't want to make decisions
No
based on
ways.
that. I want to make decisions based on my greatest like self. Um, Not easy to do, but you just have to be aware enough to just slow down for a second, go for a walk, make
Yep.
decisions that are, um, yeah, your highest
Outgo in the
version of
group
your
and
highest self.
make it somebody. I think the AJ is kind of getting into that. We also need community and accountability. I think I'm pretty disciplined, but I can get excited and greedy. Keep it real. Is there suggestions for handling these emotions?
Yeah, I think what we just talked about is because I do too. I think emotions are a beautiful part of the human experience. Um, when it comes to like your everyday life, I think emotions are beautiful.
Hmm.
When it comes to a lot, when it comes to the crypto stuff and the investing stuff, or even sometimes business decisions, it's why the strategist will always sometimes build the biggest businesses, but they can be the least fulfilled because they've forgotten how to tune into the heart and they're just full logic.
Yep.
So you could build a really huge bank account and a huge business just being logical, but I think you miss out on the whole human experience. And so it's not either or, it's and.
Yep.
And when it comes to investing, and I don't have the right answer, but learning how to compartmentalize and just kind of say, "Hey, I'm gonna put the emotions aside for a second. I'm not gonna forget about how to tune into my heart. I'm gonna use my mind and setting the emotions aside. So if I get hyper emotional in business or in investing, I'll go for a walk. I
Yep.
sort of let that go. I don't think locking up emotions and pretending you don't have them is very healthy. I did that for 8 years, and eventually I had a deep, dark depression, and I couldn't access anything. Right? Like, just don't hide your emotions, but you could set them aside. And um, and even what AJ said that right is even just having the courage to say, "Hey, I feel these things," is
That's part of
100%
that.
legit.
That's an acceptance.
100%.
Yep.
But when it comes to, investing or making a decision, I'll go for a walk. If I start feeling FOMO and I feel like I'm missing out on something, I'll go for a walk right away because I know I don't wanna operate from that place. I just want to expand a little bit. Where do I wanna be? And then come back and make a decision. So, I don't have, like, the exact answer because I think everyone processes and does things
Differently.
differently.
I was
It's
just
just
gonna say.
awareness. If I'm getting greedy or overly excited, I'll just stop for a second and be like, "Lucas, operating from this place when it comes to clicking the buttons is not gonna be it's probably not gonna lead to a great outcome. Go for a walk, center yourself, come back in."
Yep.
Yeah.
And going back to the tree thing, yeah, I love it. Right, coming like after December kind of thing because we got obviously in Canada we got the snowy trees. Those ones are amazing
Oh,
ones to watch, especially if there's sun's out and melting some of it. Yeah, I totally
it's
agree.
crazy. I was driving yesterday and, like, the sun was, behind the trees, and we live on a lake here, so it's like I had to stop and just, like, I didn't wanna crash, but it's just like, we miss it, like, I
We
remind myself too, I'm like, "Dude, I've been driving for an hour and I haven't even looked at I've just been in my head.
yeah,
Let me stop for a second," and the second you realize how much is happening and how much, like, it's a freaking miracle, dude. I don't know how
it
else
is.
to tell it. I'm
No,
just
it
like,
is.
"How is this?" And my your eyes don't even see stuff. Like, a little signal gets transmitted to your brain so you can actually see it's just insane to me, and so I want more and more of those moments in my everyday life, like, on an hourly basis, and it brings everything into perspective of I lost some, I won some. Um, it's so dude, it's a big freaking lie, bro. All of this,
It's
all of
awesome.
it. It's a game we get to play, I think, for our expansion of our consciousness, and that's it. And whether you make money, you get rich, or you don't, or whatever happens in the meantime is all a learning experience so we can grow as humans.
Yep. No, I cannot agree more. Sorry, Scorpion just mentioned I was in Crypto Labs for about 3 months, learned a lot. Thank you for that comment, Scorpion. The timing for me and my son was just wrong, but if things get better, I'll be back in there if there's
I
still room.
hope
And
things
then
get
that's
better,
great little info. Glad somebody that had experience with it is always good to have your input. Too bad that you can't
and I hope
be
your
there
son
now.
is okay.
Exactly. Yeah. Um, so welcome Scorpion to the chat.
Let's go.
If anybody else has any other questions, I'm not going to make this go on too much longer, but I do appreciate everybody that came by. We've had a few watchers here for the whole time, so I appreciate all you guys hanging with us while we chat.
Dude,
Um,
Justin, I wanna see a video. If you do a video, let me know, but I wanna see a video on what you learned at your time in the banking industry for 15 years and maybe some kind of comparison to DeFi, the good and the bad, because DeFi has a lot of things to fix still. But I'd be
Oh,
curious
absolutely.
with that at some point.
Yeah, I'll have to try and break something like that down and see if
I
I
don't know
can
if
find
anyone
enough
else is. Maybe.
content to fill it with. But
Yeah.
that's a great idea. I appreciate it. Oh, sorry, I just put another comment. Oh, you
That's
guys have a sun in December in
that's
Denmark.
that's
We have,
false.
oh,
I think it rains in Vancouver a lot. Uh,
it does.
Yesterday, the rain finally stopped, and now the sun is out today. Um, but it rains a lot. It rains a lot. It's just like yeah.
Oh, were you? Yeah, I'm
You're in
BC.
Toronto, or you're in Ontario.
I'm in Ontario, yeah. So I'm north. I'm in Ottawa area, but yeah. So we actually have like we're pretty lucky. We don't get a ton of
Yeah.
rain or snow. We get some snow, but it's all in bits and spurts. The sun comes out like at least once a week or two or more. So it's pretty nice. We have a little sunroom, so I love heading up there as a break at 1 o'clock kind of thing and just soaking up the sun for a minute before I come back to my office and dungeon. So yeah,
The Vancouver has, I just looked at the averages, 169 days of rain per year.
that's
So
insane. Yeah, you guys are like England.
yeah, it's a lot.
Same kind
It's a
of thing.
lot. So when it's sunny though, you get to appreciate it. Like yesterday, the sun was just out, and I was like, I haven't seen the sun in 2 weeks. This is amazing.
Yeah,
You appreciate the you can't. It's duality. You can't have one without the other. So with the rain comes the suns are just so much. I think
it
nicer
gives you
when
so
the
much more
sun's out.
more happiness. Well, it's funny. I went to Banff, Alberta, twice, and I talking to the people around there. I'm walking around like I look like a tourist because I'm looking at these mountains like there's some
Crazy,
act of God, and the people are going around. What the hell's wrong? Like this is
right?
normal.
Right.
Sorry, my mountain is like a hill.
Yeah, yeah. We're very fortunate in BC for that.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's very awe-inspiring constantly. Like when you look out and you're like, "What?" It is an act of God. It's
Yeah.
crazy.
Yeah. Sorry, AJ just says yes. That would be great because with liquidity pools, we talk about being the bank because I know the bank lends out money. Oh yeah, sorry, you're talking about me doing something. Yeah,
Dude, that'd be
um,
awesome. I think people
yeah,
would love that.
it's a great idea. I'll have to try and mull it over, kind of thing, and just because I want to add value too. Because sometimes it's really on it. Like, I guess I'm desensitized to it in a sense, so it's hard to find out what adds value for that because I'm just like, yeah, it's just the banks charge a boatload of fees, and you're getting the benefit of all of that. So I oversimplify sometimes these kind of things because I think they're that simple, but really there's a lot of nuances with it all.
And I don't like hate the banks. I want to make that clear. Maybe I say that some hate is. I should actually watch when I say that because banks are an incredible tool,
Hmm.
but a lot of people their 100% reliance is on the banks.
Yeah.
And instead of using the banks for what they could provide, there's so many ways to do it. Even different visas. I have one visa where as long as it's a fairly large balance, but I just checked, I have $18,000 in travel credits
Yeah.
for expenses that are paid for this year. So that's $18,000, and I've never paid a lick of interest on my visa because it's paid off by the end of the month
Yeah.
every single month, and I'll put every expense through it. Um, I bought motorcycles literally with a visa, and I part of the negotiation deal was because they could only do a $2,500
Yeah.
policy. I'd be like, well, I'll just pay it 4 times, and I'll buy it what you're asking for. But because of that, like, so there's ways you can play the banking system. They won't
Yeah.
like you, but don't be used by them constantly. People, if you looked at your fees and the interest you're paying on
Oh yeah.
stuff, I'm just like, man,
Well, and that's probably where I could add more value. And again, thinking back, it's bringing me back to my days sitting in the office, which is not a bad. I say that like it's blah, but no, I mean, there still was a lot of value I tried to add. I treated my job
of
like
course,
I treat this space, where
yep,
I'm trying to add value, trying to create value and create knowledge that is useful for everyone.
totally,
Um, and you're right. There's so many ways people could be using the bank in a way that benefits them or creates more cash flow or saves you money.
yeah.
There's so many
You
nuances.
got to talk about this because I think we're all. I'm still in the banking system, of course I am.
Mhm.
So I think there's always something to learn. I just think the banking system is so outdated. Like,
Oh,
what's the biggest
absolutely.
innovations the banks have done? They've done ATMs, which isn't really that big of a deal, and they've done debit cards and
Cards.
tax. But like fundamentally, it's the same it was when banks started. Um, in that, I'm just like everything else is innovated at such a rapid pace. Why haven't the banks innovated? Like to send money to, I had
Because
to
to
send
do
money to
that
Europe a while
creates
ago.
costs, creates money.
Crazy.
It bleeds them money and doesn't give them any value. It doesn't give them more. I mean, I think they're nearsighted as well. They don't realize how much value it would bring being more evolving because there is now banks
100%.
coming out because it's becoming easier. They're still
Yep.
even the new banks are still at the whim of the big five in
Yep.
Canada, anyways.
Yep.
But there's new ones now that charge way less fees
Yep.
and are going to be bleeding some of their clients over if
Yep.
they don't smarten up. But they don't change. They don't see the value in change. They
Yep.
just they want to wait. It's almost like and not to get into politics, but it's like a person in power like a president or prime
100%.
minister. They're there for such a short period of time. They don't care about changing anything.
100%.
They just care about getting in there and then doing their little thing and then somehow feeding their ego and walking away.
100%.
So
100%. Yeah, cash value life insurance, becoming your own bank. There's some really great books on that. If you can overfund your policy for 4 or 5 years, literally for the rest of your life, you're making some good coin depending what policies you're on. But there's just so many ways to play it. I think it'd be really interesting. I'd definitely watch a sick video from you on that. That'd be really interesting.
Cool. Yeah. So getting back to you, anything else that you, I guess, wanted to maybe have, like, any nuggets of information, anything else you'd like to kind of bring on to the people in my community? If you guys do have a moment, like I said, do check out his YouTube, check out the channel, the Crypto Dog Investor Group. I mean, it's you talk about it as a coffee a day. I think what people need to realize is if you are having to me, your perfect client, and please correct me and add to it, I'm babbling here a bit. Your perfect client to me is anybody that's been on a treadmill in this space. Somebody who hasn't really found purpose, found the ability to manage what you're doing, and you're just jumping from thing to thing. Somebody that does have the desire to learn and the desire to do better in this space, which hopefully should be all or most of us. This is a great place to hone those skills, to focus your energy in a more productive way, and not feel like you're kind of in this space, kind of walking, nomading it almost, I guess is a great way to put it. But I'm sorry.
That's a good way to put it. I think curious as to how much deeper they can go in their knowledge, maybe want to be less reliant on the ROI DAP type stuff and realize that there's stuff way beyond that, and open to sort of, I guess, fundamentally what I love. We're starting our last update in the Underdog Investor Group. Like, we have different groups and different educational courses in different communities, but the final one is on more mindset, and more on mindset is such a general term. I don't like it, but that's what I'll call it. On what the frick do you want out of life? Because that's going to have to be funded in some way. So either your parents are going to have money, you're going to have to borrow it, you're going to have to earn it, you're going to have to whatever. But, like, what do you want in your life? And then start reverse engineering how much actual money you actually need for that. And I think most people realize it's not as much as they think it is. Like, if you take your ideal life on a monthly, yearly, or even a cash basis of what it would cost, like, it's not that much. Like, literally, you could probably start a small business, run it for 5 years, sell it at a 4x multiple, 3x multiple if you could build it. And you could be financially free for the rest of your life. Or you can make some investments in DeFi or in traditional investments and earn X amount per year on it. And that could fund your ideal life. Because most people, I just freaking finally bought my supercar. I haven't really shared it much because I've been busy for the last week. But, like, that was literally the only stupid purchase I've ever wanted to make.
Yeah. Nice.
Other than, like, I am complete, dude. Like, there's nothing else I need to buy. Like, I know that sounds
You got
crazy.
motorcycles, you got the
And I don't have like tens or hundreds of millions of dollars. You literally don't need it. I used to think I did. I mean, having a jet would be kind of nice. I've been kind of thinking about that lately. That is a pretty big expense. I don't have that yet. But the point is, it doesn't take that much. Like, people have thought I need to make millions of dollars, and they actually realize their ideal lifestyle is $8,000 a month. Okay, let's start breaking that down. Like, what are all the different ways? Okay. And now it's like, hey, I make $3,000 from my job, and now I make $3,000 from these investments. I'm 6. I'm literally 80, 90% there. And it's interesting that most people have never broken it down to the penny or the dollar that they actually need. And when you do, and you reverse engineer it, well, I think it's attainable for anyone. I don't know. Maybe I'm biased. Like, I think there's a really great book called Psycho-Cybernetics by Maxwell Waltz, I think his name is. He talks about, he was a plastic surgeon who, way back in the day, who, when he would perform surgery on a patient who maybe had let's just say a too big of nose, and they blamed the big nose on why they couldn't make sales out in the world. because no one liked them and they were ugly.
Yeah.
When he'd perform plastic surgery, oftentimes he found an internal shift in this person's belief. And the person went on to be highly successful in his field because all of a sudden he had inner confidence. What Maxwell said is a lot of times the surgery didn't even change them physically. Like it was such a small thing that no one would notice, but they would change internally. So he studied psychology after that, and he basically joined the field of cybernetics, I think they called it. Anyways, doesn't matter. It was about your identity. And the whole book is about shifting your identity. And why do most people, there's a study, hang out paycheck to paycheck every single month until someone they absolutely love gets sick and they need 30 grand quick.
And
They
go.
find a way to get the 30 grand.
Yeah.
They help their family member, and then they're right back to their baseline of their self-identity. Like, this is who I am, which is why I hate that question, because I'm always evolving. And so I think fundamentally you change who you are, you change what you see in the mirror, you become consistent with that person, and the reality around you very quickly changes because you'll always match your innermost beliefs. Your actions will match it. You don't have to have discipline. I'll share one last thing. I was a fitness trainer for a long time. That was my first business. And I was not a really good trainer, but I understood this concept because I changed myself personally. And the most, like, clients would walk in who were overweight, unhealthy, fat, blah, 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 didn't like their bodies. They didn't like what they saw in the mirror. To me, it wasn't about the training plan or the diet. It was about helping them shift their inner realities and shift
Mhm.
who they saw themselves as. And all of a sudden, they became consistent with their workouts. They started enjoying their workouts and they got amazing results. And I got a lot of clients because of it. Trainer wise, I only gave them 8 different exercises all the time. It was the same crap. It was about shifting who they were. And I think that made me realize it's just like you assume the identity as an investor. Um, you start finding more joy investing than you do buying stupid crap in video games because you identify as an investor. And next thing you know, you have an investment portfolio that appreciates during a bull run. And you didn't do anything that special. You just
No.
changed your habits because you changed who you are and what you see in the mirror.
Well, I think that's what a lot of people get. They create barriers to themselves, thinking it's so hard to do anything, but it's so effing simple. It's literally so simple, most of it. Even in and again, actually, that reminds me of another bank thing, just to quickly before we wrap up. But
Yeah, yeah.
people came into me thinking everything was so complicated and it was so hard to get out of their zone, when really it was a amount of just going through their budget, going, "Hey, you spend too much at Tim
Right.
Hortons."
You probably
And
saw that a lot. Yeah.
and you can literally all of a sudden find all this money, all this peace, all this whatever, and literally it's just a, I'm going to buy a coffee maker.
Right.
Like,
Yeah.
and people don't realize how simple it can be, and it's that first step that's so hard. And once you do that, after 21 days, you create the habit. After whatever, you create the new you, and so on and so forth.
Yes,
And going back
sir.
to your thing, I should start asking, I guess, who are you today? It's just what I'm thinking
That's
of.
yeah. I
Um,
always like the, "Hey, tell us who you are." I'm just like, "Frick, I don't even know anymore." I'm like, I'm this dude who's got a bit of like, this is me,
yeah,
but I'm
I'm
gonna be
sitting
very
right here.
different in a
You're
month,
seeing
I
me.
hope. Like, I
Yeah,
look back at videos from 6 months ago and I'm embarrassed by, in a good way. I'm just like, "Wow, like, just grow.
yeah,
Just freaking grow, dude. That's it.
exactly.
We're gonna
So
die soon."
Crypto Crazy, thanks for coming by for quickly. And by all
Oh,
means, yeah, please go back and watch that. He has a Thursday night little YouTube thing. I haven't been able to make it on there yet, but I do. I should make a piece to
dude,
get on
if
there.
you ever wanna hold one of these again and I could, because I love interviewing people, I
Mhm.
would literally love to ask you questions on the banking stuff. We could, like, literally flip the table, and
Yeah,
I would
yeah,
be happy to do that. I think people would get so much value from
yeah. That'd be
hearing about
fun.
the
That
banking
sounds like a great
experience.
idea. Let's do that.
Cool.
And then AJ says, I was doing okay with crypto already, but I really need a structure and a plan. And that's what Crypto Labs has
Thanks,
done for me,
AJ.
which is awesome.
Appreciate that. Thanks for the
And
love.
yeah, and that's exactly why I wanted to have you on here, and why I'm trying to invite people like this, that I feel, because I don't think there's one size fit all. Not everybody's going to jive with everybody. Just like yourself, I'm sure you're aware.
Totally.
Not everybody's going to be take and kind of connect with you. But the ones that do, I want to make sure they know who you are and where you are, so that
Thank
that
you.
can add value for them. And Colin, I really wish he was here too, but I do
Next
appreciate
time.
our time. Colin is part of the Underdog Investor Group, guys, and is also a great asset to the team, and just I don't know. I just look at him as a teddy bear. He's just such a
Dude,
great
his
guy.
enthusiasm, like, when he talks
Oh my
about
god,
crypto, his eyes go like this.
infectious.
He freaking loves it. Like, I love it, but Colin loves it. David too, though. David is if you ever want to get David on or something, we could make sure we get him on when it comes to TA and
Yeah.
more of the technical aspect of blockchain and different assets and different pairs and different strategies. He's wicked. He runs all of our fast track clients basically. So just our higher net worth clients.
Yeah.
Yeah, a really, really good team. I'm really grateful for them this last week.
Yeah, I love seeing you guys coming on and having fun. And yeah, so no, that's awesome. So yeah, so if you guys do call to action, I guess if you will, is obviously go check out Lucas's YouTube channel, which was put in above, and I'll put it in the description below. Obviously, there's the Crypto Labs website if you want to take a little closer look on what you guys offer. I'm assuming there's a drop page when I go to that, and it's off your YouTube as well.
Yeah, the Underdog Investor Group. We don't do any contracts. We don't do any commitments. There was a demo you can grab as well. So there's a demo that our admins, we have 2 admins that work for Crypto Labs too. They reach out to you. They give you all the it's just on the work with us.
Work with there we go.
The middle one.
So yeah. So and you guys do a little bit of information collecting. Sorry, work with us.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, membership there. Yeah. The middle one. Yeah, gotcha. Yeah. So if you guys have a moment, go check this out. See if it's a right fit for you.
So I'd say about 80% of the books behind me are all about money.
Little intro as it plays there. So yeah, so come on by, guys, take a look. Like I said, if you're not sure where to go, if you went through the last bull run or were there like myself at the tail end of it, I think there's so much value to finding a group that kind of adds value for you like this. So I hope you guys take advantage of that opportunity if it's right for you. And let me know what you think of this video. Let me know what you think of what Lucas is able to offer if you're in there. I just always love the comments, and yeah, otherwise, links down below and all that jazz.
Someone a few days ago left a comment of like, oh, that little left thing that keeps popping up. They're like, that must be fake. I guarantee you 100% I'll go to jail forever if it's not. It's real. So when a payment goes through, the first name and the location pops up. So if you do join, like literally you can check me on this. Your first name, there's no info that goes out. Trust Pulse is a program that hooks up to like a payment processor and will automatically pop up any recent purchases. That is real. So we will literally have between 3, 10, 18 members a day join, which I don't care about that. What that tells me is we're filling a need in the market, and full transparency, our churn is around 8%, which is a really, really good number for the industry we're in, which just tells me people stay because they love it. We don't do any contracts. You're free to leave whenever. So that gives me all the data I need to know that what we're doing is making a difference, and that gives me more fuel to keep building. Nice. If no one started signing up and if everyone started leaving, then we would just stop doing it because it wouldn't be providing value. So we're just here to provide value.
Very simple. Awesome. Well, thanks again, Lucas. I do appreciate when we do get a moment. And sorry, I should have invited you on the channel a long time ago. I've been on your guys' scene a couple of times, and I appreciated all of our conversations. And like I said, Colin as well. And hopefully I get a chance to meet.
We want to do some in-person stuff, dude. So we'll let you know when we do. My life's been hectic here the last 3 months, but we want to start doing in-person stuff because I think just connecting in person, that energy exchange in groups is so powerful.
Yeah, 100%. All right. Well, thanks so much for joining. Guys, please do like and subscribe on your way out and hit those buttons to help out. And thank you, Lucas, for everything.
Thanks, Justin.